Yeah, the guy's a total slacker when he's by himself, Joe. I don't know what to tell you, in all honesty. I mean, I don't know what to say. What's up, everybody? Long week. Crazy, crazy week. Let's make sure I'm live and y'all can hear me okay. Stranger things have happened, but I'm here. Joe, what's up, man? What's happening, guys? It is crazy to be here. Solo show. Haven't done one of these in forever. Locking it down by myself tonight. Sarah is in Ohio, Columbus, for a convention. I'm sure she'll probably pop in if I had to guess. Be a fun show this evening. I honestly, you can hear me. I appreciate it. I can hear. Well, I can't hear you, but I can pretend I hear you. I hear Joe. So, gonna do a little fun tonight. I don't have anything in my glass yet. We'll let that marinate for a minute. We'll let a few people come in and show up. Hopefully, there's a few of you out there already. But we're gonna do something fun and let you guys choose within reason. Here, I have the 10 samples I have left from the 12 days of Christmas left over. And so what we're going to do here in a couple minutes, don't do it yet. We're going to take a number, whoever gets the first number in between 1 and 10, not yet. Don't do it yet. That's what I'm going to drink for the first drink, and then we'll get off and running. So give everybody a few minutes. Hopefully you had a great week. Hopefully. Mine was good, just long a little bit, but yeah, it's over now. It's Friday night. But obviously, what are you guys drinking on before we get started? And then we'll jump in, have a little chit chat. I'm not sure I'm going to go super long tonight, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour. But hey, we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. That's all I've heard. So I don't know what to tell people. A lot going on in the bourbon world that is fun. Some of it's not fun. A lot of crazy stuff. Some of the things from Justin's House of Bourbon are starting to emerge. Might get into that a little bit if nobody throws out any topics they want to talk about. So without further ado, let's get a drink in my glass. First one in chat, throw out a number 1 through 10, and then I'll pick from. I've got the bags over here. You can't see them; they're off screen. So it is what it is. But I don't have them in day order or anything. I just picked them up and put them down. So whatever number I see first, that's what I'm gonna grab. And we'll go through it from there. There's a couple of really good ones left in there. So Bardstown Fusion 2 and a Bourbon Mule. I like that. Fusion series, they get pushed out a lot because everybody loves Discovery series. Fusion series has some nice blends in there, some nice things that they were doing. And, we'll see, because I think that's actually something they're going to obviously have stocks these old product, and their juice is now ready to be putting out, as you guys have seen. So maybe what they'll end up doing is, the Fusion line might get a little boost because of that. May not, who knows? But again, I don't know what to tell people on that one. I've actually heard some mixed reviews on the Bardstown stuff, their own juice. I did the bourbon, the 4-year solo. What's up, Nick? Yeah, dude, just solo tonight. Sarah's in Columbus with the girls, so we'll be up in a couple weeks, that, and have a great time. But I don't have anything in my glass. All right, so if you just joined, so we got a few more people joining in. Thank you for joining. Yes, I am solo. You do not see Sarah or Joe or anyone else. Just me tonight, and we moved the room around in preparation of getting the other wall ready for the set that it was always possibly going to be. So this will be the set where you see the two pillar things. They used to be together. Now they're not. I did that the right direction. I'm impressed with myself. I'm looking at the screen. Sorry. 3. There we go. Thank you, Joe. Get me started tonight. We will go 1, 2, 3. Oh, and so 3 happens to be E.H. Taylor Straight Rye. So I'm going to finish that. Yeah, why is my glass empty, Nick? Well, I have the 12 days samples that are left over. So I didn't know what to do for a theme tonight. So I just said, you know what? That's a great place to be, because those things are just sitting here, and nobody's, they're just going to sit here. And there's only maybe an ounce left in each of these. So that we start now with some E.H. Taylor Straight Rye. This was definitely one that I remember enjoying quite. I mean, I enjoyed them all. I mean, it is what it is. I can appreciate things when people want to do this, but so for those of you that may not be aware, when I say 12 days of Christmas, you guys see this card Sarah got with a few people that are even here in chat, and had people submit some samples, and I did a 12-day series, and obviously a lot of them, like this was a 4-ounce container, or 3 or 4-ounce container. So I didn't drink it all during shooting an episode. That would be bad when I was trying to batch episodes. But so Nick, what you got going on, dude? What's in your glass, buddy? Ooh, first drink of the night. Hitting right. I like it. Beautiful spices. Enjoyable. I've heard people also with the H. Taylor Straight Rye have a love-hate relationship. Have a pour, make a memory. Got that right. That was the tagline. That's going to get incorporated back in. Don't worry. We're probably going to end up doing some. You were texting me earlier this week, and I was telling you some things in Q2 that might be cropping up. And one of those things might be partial logo redesign. I don't know yet. We've kicked it around. We're not doing the craft beer or the cocktail stuff. It is a goal to do it long term. Old HQ, Old Elk 7-year, the old OLHQ. Yeah, so we're kicking that around about how to incorporate that slogan. If you recall, like obviously we started out with "Be kind to yourself." And they two tie together. I still like the "Be kind to yourself" thing. I don't want to ditch it entirely because that was Greg's fingerprint, and this whole show doesn't exist if we don't start that podcast, Greg and I, back in 2019. So I mean, to kind of try to be, I want to be careful that we take the show forward, but also remember all that. So yeah, we'll see. But certainly got some fun ideas. I think we're going to kick around on this, but it's just becoming an interesting space out there in YouTube right now, in YouTube land. If there's YouTube overlords are watching right now and they get mad, so what? But the content creation space, because of the emergence of shorts on the YouTube platform, is getting, it's not changed, but it is starting to morph into you're more behooved to have like a full portfolio. And they're even actually, so I don't think a lot of people even realize this. They're even the one of, if I can't remember the stat, they were 1 or 2 in 2021. In terms of podcast platform, like pure podcast platform, they were up there. They're blowing it away. I think the number was in 2021, they were number 2 against all platforms combined for what are considered podcasts. Now, I might remind you, podcasts aren't all 3-hour Joe Rogan things. Some of them are 30 minutes, some of them are whatever, but and that's separate from long form content, which they separate somehow. So I don't know. As you start to look at these things, you kind of realize, like, man, you can stay in an alley and organically grow, which we're doing for the time being. I don't know if we're going to change that, but we'll see. Definitely have to think about that the long term. And I don't know how I feel about the shorts game. I mean, I'm not a TikToker. I'm not a Reels guy, really. Do you guys like that stuff? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a little more work. It's not that it's a lot more work. It's just I feel like it's a different type of content. We're a pretty chill channel. We're pretty laid back, and generally our pace isn't so much of one that's like that TikTok hit quick pace. And so I just struggle to make sure that it would come across as genuine. And that's my biggest concern, to be honest with you. If it's not genuine, or you can't tell that it's part of the person's personality. And I don't love turning my personality up to 11 much anymore, honestly. Like, there was a day, you guys that know me, there was a day where I might have been on 11 a little bit too much. And I just don't know that I want to go back to that. Like, it's not even about the drinking. It has zero to do with that. It's just that wears you out a lot, very fast. But I don't know. We're open to your feedback on that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you just tell us. The bourbon talk content is a lot of bottle chugs. Yeah. So TikTok is probably the oddest platform to talk about of all of them, because it is more difficult to find the community, so to speak, because of the way TikTok presents its media to you, right? And that, to me, obviously is something that is a challenge. Like, you can get yourself into someone's rotation if they're got that heavy bourbon in their algorithm or whiskey. But at the same time, is that going to translate to something else that's going to eventually be, part of the game here is I'd love to at least have the channel be neutral, right? I mean, I don't spend a lot of money. I don't complain about that. I spend a few dollars to make sure I have StreamYard, which is this service that gets it out and aggregates it to things. I spend a few bucks on licensed music to make sure I'm just covered there and don't ever have to worry about it. But I'd love to, have it be neutral. And so, like, the hard part about the bourbon community already is it's not like something where you're reaching a wide mass appeal, like, and I use an extreme example like Mr. Beast, right? Mr. Beast is just, his world is this. Whiskey is this compared to Mr. Beast, right? And it's just such a weird thing. So yeah, that was my thought too, Nick, was to think about how shoot the bourbon review and at the end go back and shoot. If you don't feel like you have enough content, you can condense into a short, shoot those few clips you need to, and then just edit it down. I'll probably get into it and give it a shot. I mean, I think if I were going to do anything, so how's this idea hit you guys? Because I'd really love to know your feedback. if I were going to do anything, I think if I did that and went into shorts and cut the reviews into shorts, but still gave the long form review on YouTube, I'd probably actually make the entrance of because you have to be catchy. You get that first quarter second with people in these short forms. I would start out with something like, this whiskey's a 9.1. Are you interested? Are you not? If I say this whiskey's a 3.3 out of 10 or whatever, I don't know. It's not polished, right? But you get the idea. Like, are people going to stay with that? Are they not? I don't know. Because like the pound the table with something is what gets a lot of people's attention a lot of times, or the motion or whatever. But you get that first quarter second pretty much, even in a short form. Yeah, Joe, I don't think it does. I don't know that though. I mean, I think we have to be careful to talk like broad audiences there, right? I don't know. Because you certainly could start a review and be like, we're going to do a review of X today. And if a person doesn't care about X, whatever that bottle is or that juice is, they're going to tune out just as easy, right? It's a weird thing. I don't know enough about it. I'm going to have to try it, I guess. I do know, like, you look at some of the other creators that are like whiskey tubers that are getting into shorts, like Bruzel is a great example. Now, admittedly, he's not just whiskey core. He stretches out a little bit. He's done some tequila. He does the flavored whiskey stuff. He plays around with Fireball. Is Fireball good in X, Y, or Z? His claim, his initial jump into the shorts arena was trying to start a lawnmower with Weller 12. I don't see us ever necessarily go into that shock value type stuff, which he doesn't do all the time. I don't mean to paint him that color, but it just feels like that would be a real challenge to, and he has a team, admittedly. It's him and at least one or two other guys that do it. The other guys, I think, do it a number of hours. He's in e-commerce. He builds websites and stuff for a living. And yeah. I'd love to hear him. Might have to come up there and while the other Sarah's out of town, maybe I'll come tomorrow night if you guys aren't busy. I don't know. I'm soft focused. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Got the stupid autofocus thing. I think it's playing around with between the microphone and me with the gray shirt. But yeah, I'd love to hear about him, Joe, because it's a weird thing to admit that, like, even though I'm a Zennial, Gen X millennial, it's one of those things where you're like, you just start to show that Gen X side of things, maybe more the millennial side of things, because you're kind of like, I understand it, I know how to work the thing, but I just feel like I don't necessarily know how to exactly push out exactly what would be smartest for my platform. So whereas you start to settle on YouTube and you get comfortable with what you're presenting, but you should never be 100% comfortable in anything, really, to be honest with you, when it's a creator like this. But I don't know, whole different topic. Appreciate it, though. I love all the feedback. I mean, that's the main thing, is I want to get this thing moving in the direction where we do see, and we are gaining subscribers. I mean, every time we put out a video, we're anywhere plus 2 to 10 subscribers every video we put out, which I'm thrilled about. I mean, I would love to see 1 or 2 pushes here or there, but organic growth is great. I mean, there is a lot of, it's funny, shooting and being and watching in the Whiskey Tube stuff. The last 2 weeks, I've watched more YouTube content than I have Whiskey Tube. Just trying to understand, like, what are some of these top, like, influencers in the space they're trying to give information about YouTube, telling people. And obviously, terminology, if you're not familiar with it, some of you may probably already are. So, like, when you watch a short on YouTube or a reel on Instagram or potentially even TikTok, you're usually shot on cell phone, and they're usually shot this way, right? The term's vertical content, and it makes so much sense. But so I think a lot, we think in that terms, because you can do a professionally shot thing and put it on. Don't get me wrong, but consumers are used to that vertical shot, and so that is a bit different. And when you think about it, but I mean, at the same time, it's not terribly different. It's not hard to throw your phone up in front of you, and the nice part about it is it doesn't have to be as polished as your YouTube videos, where, like, you want to have decent audio. Ideal audio if you can. You really want to have that nice camera situation if you're shooting something where you're trying to be, high-end quality. Most people watching something that they realize are shot on a phone, they know they're probably going to get audio that might be a bit dodgy at moments. They're not to go British, borrow that British term, but so yeah, I think that's what we're going to start dabbling in. I think I have a creative way to go about it so that it's no more work. Because that's really the thing, right, guys? For you watch a 7 to 8 minute video, We probably shot 20 to 24 minutes for that video because we have to step back sometimes and say, okay, we got to redo that part, or we got to do whatever. We have to direct on the fly, so to speak. And then we've got to cut it down, try to cut it down to where it's not got any gaps, things like that. So, you start talking about it, and to get an 8-minute video out, you're probably putting in 2 to 3 hours of effort minimum by the time you edit it. And to go ahead and edit down a short right after that, after you got your content condensed down already, probably only another 15 to 30 minutes. It's probably not that big a deal. So I don't know. We'll have to see where the future goes. It's like, how do you package that stuff down? How do you do it? And definitely, I can tell you right now, like the format of our regular recorded content is going to change too. Like, I'm going to ditch the whole 3 things down fiery intro thing. It needs to go because our retention time is just, we're decent through 30 seconds, but we could be a lot better if I got to content faster. So I'm starting to look at those type of things. Maybe drop that down to like a 1.5 second type thing where it plops up and keeps people hooked in. So, and then the other thing that I'm going to focus on that you'll hear versus a traditional call to action. So I don't know. You guys tell me if you like this stuff. You guys watch YouTube. Focus more on asking people to continue to click the title cards at the end, because actually that's one of the biggest things that is the biggest opportunity to help grow channels is YouTube actually tracks how long people stay on your channel and watch. Yeah, with this setup, so it's actually going to look even more, I'll call it impressive, Nick. I'm going to get some risers for the ones directly behind me. You can't see it because of the chair. And it'll be up. So, and I'm sitting. Normally we're standing when we shoot a lot, but the other wall that you guys are used to seeing, which is over this way, off to my right, we still left that paper up. It still looks like stacked stone. The plan for that is to put some shelves up so I can have some shelving to put like a center shelf. So if we're talking about or having a bottle battle or whatever, they can be up and in the shot. I have a barrel that I'm going to lacquer the top of so we can stand that for a standing set. And then longer term, I'm going to make a roll around table. This room is 11 by 12. I mean, Joe's been in here. It's not big. You can't do a lot with it. So whatever I do, I have to be able to shove it off to the side when I'm moving my set around. But I love it. The only reason, well, not the only reason, but the only reason we had the stack stone look was because that wallpaper stuff, it was like $8 a roll and it was supposed to be $45. And so I was like, sold, I'll sell it. And it actually looks pretty good. Third set, the seated set, got to find, you've seen the room, Joe. Like this room is so small. I'm going to have to find such perfect furniture for it. It's going to be the hard part. What it may end up being is that the stack stone wall actually ends up being more versatile and ends up being the barrel set, lower chair set, that kind of stuff. We'll see. I could use the curtain in that corner and change out that curtain and kind of use the corner there as well. But it's just 11 by 12, 11 by 13 room. You can only ask so much. So, yeah. What other topics are on your mind? A lot happened. I got the Justin's House Suburban thing in my back pocket if nobody brings anything else up, but that's wild. But we'll talk about that if you guys are interested in it. But just kind of catching up on things like that and realizing at the end of the day, like, man, poolside set, tiki bar, just think about it. Oh, we're going to do some outside stuff this summer. Don't worry. So one thing I did invest in that I have not got tested out, I just got them last week, and just this week was crazy. I didn't get a chance to do it, were some wireless mics. So this can be deleted. The real challenge with this room is soundproofing this room would probably be a lot more expensive than I want to spend right now. So we went ahead with the wireless mics, which I've heard them. There are multiple content creators that use them, and they don't use them in ideal situations, and they come across much more clean. This is a wonderful mic. This is a Rode NT1A. It's a great studio quality mic, but when you have crap acoustics, you can only do so much. So, it is what it is. Poolside, yeah, definitely going to happen. I think that might be, there's been an idea floated. Haha, pool floated, dad jokes, right? St. Pete remote set, I'm down. Let's do it. It's been an idea floated of having some sort of event here where maybe we set up a cam and people can come rotate in and we can do like a fun game with a bunch of people. That would be something fun to set up outside and do. You'd probably see a bunch of the neighbors show up randomly too, aside from anybody else that maybe was told about it or whatnot. And that's always fun too. So that's in the cards for sure. So keep that in mind. I don't know when that is. Yeah, babe. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. It kind of centers up really nice, everything. So we'll look at it. We'll talk about it more later. But no, I appreciate you. What's you doing? You guys doing dinner, or are you just popping in after dinner? Sorry, guys. You know, the one and only Sarah's on. So she's here. She's beside me now, just hosting, you know. But what you drinking on? There's a few more of you out there. What else are you guys drinking on? I only see Nick and Joe so far. Don't be shy. Whichever platform you're on, don't be shy. Shoot a comment in there. I got a couple of you on Facebook, bunch of you on YouTube. I like it. My first drink this week. It's bad, isn't it? Anyway. No one's gonna throw something else out. So the whole, if I don't know if you guys have been following the whole Justin's House Suburban thing, which is really odd. Chilling after dinner. I'm right, chilling after dinner. It's been a weird situation. I think they really got themselves in trouble by Matt, Kentucky Mule at the moment. All right. Katie, hey Katie. Still milking your two. I get it, Joe. All right. Well, I'm milking this first one. We'll go to another one here in a minute. Don't worry. Matt, what'd you put in that Kentucky Mule? Just a Rittenhouse rye or something, or who knows? Justin's House Suburban thing. So they got raided. If you guys know who Justin's House Suburban is, they're in Lexington and Louisville. They also have a location in Washington, D.C., which primarily exists as a storefront, but also where Bourbon Outfitters is located out of. Monkey Shoulder Scotch. I wonder where you got that from. You got a heck of a deal on that. Yeah. So it wasn't a full shutdown. So yes, Nick. What it was a joint effort because so ATF was involved, I guess, technically. But it was state of Kentucky, state of Pennsylvania, and one other state. Can't recall off the top of my head. Oh, probably District Columbia, DC. So in Kentucky, they are allowed to, they have a vintage spirit law, which says they ran a nice museum. Yeah, they're definitely not the cheapest. And there's a couple others in town that actually beat them in their own game. But there's a law in Kentucky. It's called Kentucky Vintage Spirits Law that allow individuals to approach a retailer and sell bottles back to them, provided they meet certain criteria. And it's pretty easy criteria. Basically, the bottle can't be purchased currently through a distributor by the retailer, and it has to be at least 2 vintages old. That's the gist of it. There might be more. Elijah Craig Small Batch Fresh Lime, Fever Tree Ginger Beer. Maybe go to Rye next. Hey, why not? And so, you know, if you're a consumer, either driving to Kentucky, in Kentucky, whatever, and you have some bottles you want to load, you could do it through them. Admittedly, they're going to turn around and resell them, so they're not going to give you full secondary. And they definitely were at or above full secondary on a lot of things they had in their store. Now, they're a complete liquor store too. Not complete. They're a complete bourbon store too. They actually buy from a distributor and put out around MSRP on a lot of things they do sell. And they have a bunch of picks that they do. Well, so the real challenge, I guess, came in was the fact that they were telling people that they could ship something to them, but it would require them to send it to their Washington, D.C. location. And that's where that whole hook came in. So that was the first part about it. The second part was unrelated, but tied together because it all came together at the same time. There was a comment made in November by one of the employees in Washington, D.C. when they were getting audited that they were going to receive, I think it was 500 cases of Blanton's. I think I'm soft focused. I'm going to try and get in here, little guys. Sorry. Of Blanton's, and was going to be from the Netherlands. Well, that got the ATF's ear up because the Netherlands is one of the places that actually has been known to be doing counterfeit Blanton's products. And so that got investigated, and it turns out that obviously there's some question as to whether they can purchase internationally through that DC location separately from the issue of can they buy something in Kentucky and have it shipped through what is effectively Bourbon Outfitters or their location in DC, allegedly. I don't know how that exactly is working. So that's what the hangup's over. And then kind of off to the side, there was also this whole thing where there's word that they weren't, for the consumer, you're supposed to mark, like for the person that maybe purchasing the bottle from you again after you've bought it from someone, you're supposed to put a tag on it of some sort, and they may or may not have been doing that. So it sounds like if it wasn't for the whole shipping piece of this, they probably would have just gotten some wrists slapped and probably been able to move on with life. I don't know how it's going to go for them because they do have to appear in front of in DC. They got to answer to some of that shipping issue, and then answer for some of that stuff they are buying internationally or going to buy internationally in bulk. They have to answer a complaint or something of that nature. So we'll see. But it's definitely an interesting case study because, I mean, it makes you kind of think about like our 3-tier system. And, how messed up it is. Like, any of you that's been doing craft beer or bourbon long enough, on Facebook, it used to be a pretty easy thing. You go on to buy sell trades, or some were called BSRs, and it was not uncommon to just do whatever transactions there. Trading was still a thing at the time. Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate it, man. Whiskey straight up in the house. Derek. Yeah. And so it was just a really weird situation, that and I guess I didn't know this, but so yeah, I don't pretend to think they're clean here, Joe. I've never met them in person. I've been there a few times. Occasionally, if they had that really splashy bottle that you really wanted to get and really had to have, it was usually there for you. And that's the nice part. But the really tough part about all this is it kind of just puts in my head, like, 3-tier system, man, it gets really tough. And where I was going to go, before Joe put that comment out, was I was seeing on another podcast today, this evening, before I kind of came in here with you guys, that one of the people that complained about the groups on Facebook and urged Facebook and got authorities involved was allegedly the Van Winkle family. And I understand why. Yeah. Neat and Revival were doing this right. I agree. I can only look in the window at Neat, and I have not been to Revival, but I've seen pictures of the stuff at Neat, and I know they try to give you as much of the provenance on it and things of that nature as possible. So Knob Creek store pickup next. I like it. But it got me thinking a lot about, like, I think I'm going to put together some content about what our different states have in terms of available to, for options right now, because I don't know we ever lose the de facto 3-tier system for the main reason of dollars, right? There's tax dollars involved here. So if a distillery in Kentucky wants to send something to Florida, Florida is going to be interested in when that product ultimately gets sold, and potentially interested when it enters their state to be taxed. In some situations, some states actually do. Tobacco is wild. It's like that. It's already that way in tobacco, where if you want it to cross state lines, you have to prepay taxes, which is wild as a manufacturer, right? But it is what it is. And I'm just wondering if we push this envelope, if that's not where our tax authorities, which is our government, goes and looks at it and says, okay, so we'll step in federally, but we can't stop the states from saying, you know what? If Buffalo Trace wants to sell a product in Florida, Florida can say, before it crosses our state line, you got to pay more taxes or these taxes. And then what does that do? So at the end of the day, I don't know what that right answer is, but definitely feels like, if we're not careful, you always run that line of how far do you let things go before you start to get people with the snowballs. Because believe it or not, there are modern day prohibitionists out there. They're not huge in numbers, and they want to do it in a lot of different ways, to be honest with you. They've pressured YouTube to not allow me. Now it hasn't gone through, but they do put pressure on YouTube to not allow me to do this. Yep, they have. They're already out there. They're pressuring our lawmakers. They're pressuring YouTube to say a person, even of legal age, should not be allowed to actually consume alcohol on camera and put it out there. Just like a lot of the movie houses have really come down on cigarettes, which is a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, of course, but yeah, every other week. I don't just say that. I'm not saying I think I see prohibition ever coming back. I don't think that's the point. But what I think I do see is, like, we end up with some modern day controls that they try to put in place that, you're going to be able to get it, but it'll be like, and this is an extreme example, but, cigarettes, right? And again, whole different ballgame in terms of carcinogens and other things like that, right? And bad things. But a carton of cigarettes, my mom was a smoker. A carton of cigarettes in the 80s was like $16-17. Now, been a long time since the 80s. A lot of things have got way more expensive. It's over $120 for a carton of decent smokes. I don't smoke, but I have friends that do. That's 10x. So imagine if you look up and all of a sudden now we're at 2-3x in 5 years, because we've gotten better laws and we can buy direct to consumer through our distilleries, but you're going to get charged a huge amount because there's a bigger excise tax, or sin tax, if you will, on it. I don't know how I feel about that. So I think it's a really slippery slope that we have to say, let's not regress and let us get some more access. But yeah, smoking is a ridiculously, anybody on here that smokes or has smoked, they know that already. So Ryan Wallace in the house. Fresh crack of spirits, fierce. Yeah, a little easy for me to say. Papa Joe's pick. Okay, that's Indiana. Yep, fresh crack of spirits of French lick, the Lost River. I got to get some spirits of French lick in my life. I think we're in Ohio a couple weeks. I'm going to sneak over that Indiana border and get some. I do. You get some of that in my life. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I don't know where this all goes, man. It's such a weird topic. So anyway, I'm out of drink. So I have 9 bags left from the 12 Days of Christmas. First one to put a number in the chat, 1 through 9. Let's go. Figure out what I'm drinking second. Let's go. And then somebody else throw out on the topic about bourbon and whiskey. Let's go while we're at it. 9. All right, let's see what we got over here. All right. So this is Yellowstone Handpicked Collection from Stillwater Tavern. Some will be in my life very soon, Mr. Wallace says. Regarding the, we're going to get one drink. Go a little old school. We got one drink down. Let's go for it. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to want some spirits of French lick. This is Yellowstone, which if you guys don't know about Yellowstone, it is freaking awesome. Hey, Luana, you just missed. You know what? In your honor, I will do number 6 for my next pour. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Nick, 7. If I go to a 4th pour, it's yours. So I got my 6 and 7 left. 23 releases. What 23 releases am I looking forward to? Wow. You know, I'll stay away from the obvious, like obviously end of year BTAC chase and trying to get in on that. So I'll answer that in a minute, Joe. I'm looking forward to craft distilleries this year, which is why I said Instant Spirits of French Lick in my life. So it's a little harder question to answer because I don't know if like their core lineups. Like I'm looking forward to seeing if Hard Truth puts out a 5 or 6 year this year. I'm looking forward to visiting for the first time in 3 weeks. Leaper's Fork in Nashville. I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff because I know generally, you know, aside from like your Old Elks of the world and your Smoke Wagons, people are sourcing MGP or maybe just now getting into their own stocks of juice. Like a lot of your products are just going to be annual rollovers and whatnot, and that's fine. It still excites me a ton. Larceny A123 I hear is amazing, and I love B922, and people are saying it smokes B922. But I'm looking more forward into getting into some of the more craft things this year. In all honesty, it's just the truth of it. A lot of finished rare character. I agree with that 100%. I think even though it's sourced juice, I'm trying to be more choosy about what sourced juice I buy this year. Rare character is on my short list for sure. If I can get a hold of a Fortuna, you better believe I can get a hold of a Fortuna. I'm going to go that route too, which is, you know, so there's a few things out there that I'm looking at, but you know, by and large, last year kind of really was eye-opening in a lot of ways, starting, you know, getting the channel fired back up and getting back into things and realizing like, I got quickly to where I was in craft beer, which was in a good place. It was I have access to what I have access to. My friends are willing to share. I'm willing to share whenever I have something that they may want me to share with them. And that's a fun place to be with it. The challenge, of course, with content is you really do want some splashy bottles. So about once every 2-3 months, I'll reach up and grab something real nice. So yeah, bought a little Frey Ranch bottle and bond seal box. Excited. Yeah, Frey Ranch is another one. So Fortuna, I'm just waiting for it to see up on Sealbox. I have not looked this week. I've been kind of crazy with some other things, but those are the kind of things I'm looking forward to be honest with you. Also looking forward to, I feel like this is the year we maybe see the toasted phenomenon start to die out. I wouldn't bother me one bit. I'm not a huge toasted guy. I like it well enough. Frey Ranch on his 2023 list. Yeah, good call. Frey Ranch is doing some fun things. I mean, a lot, you know, it's just a serious, it's an interesting time. One of the ones that I thought I was really going to be into, and then they just seem to have leveled off for me at least, is Laws. And maybe that's because I got a lot of time with a local with a local rep, you know, at one of the festivals recently. Gosh, it's been almost a year now. And I really just sat and chatted with them. And I love what they're doing. The whole concept of grain to glass. You know, they literally control almost all the grains they buy. And I love that. That's such a great thing. So Want more toasted rye? I could get with you on that, Aiden. I could 100% get with you on that. I don't mind the toasted rye side. The toasted bourbon side to me is like, give me double oaked or give it to me straight. I don't know. It's just me. So Koval kills it every time I have it. I don't recall having Koval. So unless it's going by something different name, which, I'm a big dumb idiot sometimes. So anyway, so this is the Yellowstone, going back to that. So Yellowstone, fan of EC Toasted Real. I get it. There's more. There's definitely more for you. And, Elijah Craig, since it's got some legacy on it, I can't see them going away from that for a while unless consumer tastes change a ton. So that one's probably going to stick around. But I just think it's such a finish that, like, everybody dove to. And they're like, well, it's an easier, quicker finish, right? Toasted rye. Who's doing one of those? I don't know. Chat, tell me, well, who's your favorite toasted ryes? No one's jumping to mind for me right now, but of course I'm in the hot seat, so you guys get to sit back and think about it. And done right to toast the toasted ryes, man. Just beautiful. But this is that Yellowstone, as I was trying to tell you guys a minute ago. Eden, let's see what you say. Always interested to say people call double oaked and toasted the same thing. People put 1910 and toasted blinds all the time. And I'm like, I agree 100%. They should be two different things. Let's be fair about that. That said, some toasted oak, some double oaked products are underwhelming for what the amount of oak you would expect. So I could see why someone might go, this toasted might hang with that. When in reality, it's more like this double oak might dip down to that, to be honest with you. So EC Toasted, so good. Michter's Toasted Rye, yeah, I can go with you on that. You guys know James and I generally enjoy Michter's, and we've gotten some of the more limited Michter's to share with you guys. When you go back to their core product line is when I start to struggle. And if you guys have been watching the series we've been doing about the available value bourbons, it made it down. We're doing 3 at a time. It made it down in the first flight, beat out Buffalo Trace, which is hilarious, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. And it's a love-hate thing with Michter's, because I just want them. I just want to know, like, when everything is turned over to their own juice with their 10-year stuff, which will be in a few years, I understand. And let's see how that brand continues to develop, because I do know there's a fair amount of people out there that do not, have not, and may not ever buy into what they're doing with the Whiskey Row series as well, with that heat cycling. So, I forgot all about Toasted Peerless. Forgot all about that. That I would definitely say, good call, Aiden. Joe, I struggle to say you're not missing anything, because they're solid offerings. But, at their price points, they start to be, of everything we had, they were near the higher end of the price points of all those 9 bottles. And it's like, so why am I going to bother when, literally, like Wild Turkey 101, blows out of the water. Now, ages and things are different, but that's by choice of Brown-Forman, not by me. When you're talking Michter's, they're the ones doing the heat cycling and trying to get those cycles up so they feel like they can bring it down to a 4 or 5 year product and get it out of 6 years. That's not my brand choice. I don't know what to tell people about that. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I also think, going back to this is Aiden, the reason why I brought that up, I kind of wonder on the 1910 example if we're being sold a little short because of the heat cycling. And then, so I don't know. It's such a weird dichotomy with that line that I don't know where. When I get something, I'm like, I don't know. That said, I enjoy the crap out of 1920. Don't know what to say, but and 1897 is underrated of the line. I won't say it's the best. It's not, but it's underrated for sure. I don't know. This is some awesome topics. Keep them coming. This is fun. Seriously, it's communal. You guys are chatting, bringing up stuff for each other, bringing up ideas. I can just know, I know pretty much, if I don't know you personally, I know pretty much everyone in here now, and there's a vast array of experience in 1915's best of the line. Yeah. Somebody do the math on mixing 1910 and 1897. What is that? 1906 and a half, or 1905 and a half? Yeah, I hear you on your 1915. Sagamore Double Oak Rye. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, one thing I hope this year is, and I think we're all around it here, we're talking right now, I hope this year brings us the year of many more ryes, or we'll call it the rise of the rise. Right. Yeah. And that's my point is I wonder if the juice going in, which in theory is Old Forester, maybe. I don't know. Point being, it's its own beast. Rye the hell not for whiskey straight up. See, I agree. We like our ryes. Back to Yellowstone. I've been loving the store pick stuff as well. Have to open the LE though. I've yet to open the LE. LE, man, they sold out the day before we went, and the rise of the rise. I don't know about the LE. Haven't had this year. Couldn't tell you. I do know that, yes, I totally agree. I think they are doing some awesome stuff. They get lumped in with Lux Row, but reality is they're just using them as a partner with Aging Space. So don't let that concern you too much if you're not a big Lux Row fan. Although most people tend to like some of the stuff, like if you Blood Oath. Some people like the 12 double barrel. I don't. It was just bland. It was just nothing. It wasn't that great. Yep, Sarah Ann. Yep, Yellowstone's doing good stuff. It's also a fun location. So if you find yourself heading down to, Makers when you're in Kentucky, make a little extra time. There I go, make another pun. Ha. Make a little extra time to do Limestone Branch, which is Yellowstone. It's so well worth it. So much. Think great risers of craft companies as well. One of my favorite ryes is the Bottle and Bond rye from Painted Stave in Delaware. Driftless Gun for sure. Painted Stave, another one that I've heard decent things about. And just one of those things where, again, the rise of craft, the rise of ryes. I'm hoping so. Now drinking rare character single barrel bourbon finished in white port. Get your Midwinter Nights dram ready. Get that Encore. But I've got one that's got 4 ounces of the bottle. If somebody wants to buy the rest of the bottle, it's not for me. Not for me. I don't know if y'all used to watch American Idol or did someone in your family used to, like Randy would go, nah, dog, not for me. That's exactly that. I didn't really care for Act 10 this much that year, to be honest with you. It was good. That's about the best I could say about it. That's being nice. It was average, really. So, yeah, and I gotta think that's just influx white port being a trend. I gotta think that's just barrel availability, right? I mean, I don't know what a lot of that has to do with what barrels are available, and obviously, so what was the production like? So, Nick Russell Barrels single barrel store pick this time. Yeah, Black and West Henderson is a pretty good white port finished. Okay. And it is interesting because I think you are starting to see, you're starting to see a lot of these more, I call them exotic, but a lot lesser known wine styles. And they've had them around for a little while. And I know Starlight's been into a little bit, but like the Descharance or whatever it's called. I can't remember it. All right, Aiden, I appreciate you popping in, man. Have a good night, man. We'll see you, buddy. Yeah, the all those type of wine. Tokaj I've seen again. It's coming back around, and you're starting to see a little more widely. Appreciate that. But yeah, it's been a weird year, and I really do hope. I don't know. Beaver Castor Sack Oil finished great new trend. So yeah, guys, Whiskey Straight Up. He was on here earlier. He doesn't care. He has his own channel. Some people don't know his name. It was Derek earlier in the chat. So he got when he did the Fred Minnick interview, they talked about beaver poop juice. Well, it literally is kind of beaver poop juice. Like Beaver Castor Sack Oil finishes from a distillery, and I'm terrible with names. You can put it in the chat. I'll put it up in a minute. And it literally is a thing. It's kind of like, for those of you that were around old school coffee, it's like Kopi Luwak coffee, where the civet cats, they'd feed them the beans and they poop out the coffee beans. It's kind of the same thing. And apparently it's a thing. I could take it or leave it on Midwinter Nights, but the rare character version just hits right. Well, there you go. I mean, I know a few people that have said they love this Midwinter Nights. Tamworth, there you go. Tamworth is the name of the distillery that makes the beaver poop juice, which is called something Dusac or something, whatever. But yeah, it's always been one of these things. It's like, man, just let's get it. But rise and craft, I agree. That'd be a perfect 2023 for me. If I looked up and said, it's hard for me to pick my favorite bourbon this year because I drank so many ryes, or gosh, I got to try a few cool things like some of the BTAC releases. Ode to Sack, that's what it's called. Ode, which is a great name. Um, I'd love to look up and have it be a problem to say, gosh, it's going to be a craft distillery this year, even though I got to try so many good things because I just found that one that just hit me. I mean, it's time. A lot of these craft guys are hitting 4 and 5 years old this year, so it's really going to be put up or shut up for a number of them anyway, right? Um, it's if they were limping by with young product or whatever. Some of their product as it matures, if it's not going to meet the mustard at 5 and 6 years, and they can't blend it effectively, they're going to start to show that out. So that's a tough one. Like we were talking, I don't know that I see any that I know of one that will particularly break out, but I do see a few that have been getting some play recently. And if you were on earlier, Spirits of French Lick is one that comes to mind because I heard a lot of pop last year. I have a lot of people I've known that's tried it, have some mixed opinions here and there because it is a little young. A lot like I felt like with Hard Truth's basic bourbon. There's definitely a young component there for your bourbon, but it's not unrefined like a lot of ones. The one, where was it? It was Aiden brought it up. Someone like I gotta find it now. This is the problem being by yourself is you gotta go back and find stuff. And the one in Delaware. I can't find it. But anyway, so those are, I would love to just say that, someone like, well, I mentioned so we're going to SOFL is a good example, but I think it takes a little time. Curious who you're excited about. That's it. I hope to find one, man. Like that's the thing. So I know what I know. I would love the Hard Truth guys to blow up and be huge, but the fact is they already have a good footprint, so I think they're on their way. I guess what I'm trying to tell you is if you have suggestions, anybody on here, I'd love to try them and let you know what I think, and then maybe decide if I'm going to go chase some more bottles before I kind of say maybe these are the it guys this year. I just don't know. It's an area that I don't have that depth in. Like I'm gaining depth in some of the large brands, right, in my journey right now, but that craft side of the house is one that I'm just not dug into because, again, we talked about it earlier, like trying to throw content up. Obviously, everyone likes to click on the new pretty, the purple Willets over there, the black Willets over there. Everyone likes to click on that black Willet, but no one, when you put up a Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye, everybody's like, oh. So, it's kind of tough. Yeah, K. Luke is one that I was thinking in the back of my head, but I think the cat's out of the bag on that already. And Nassif has always been one that's just, it feels elusive to a lot of people, but it's never been really particularly hard to get one if you buy it when you see it. That Four Roses Distillery might be a good one. I think they might break out soon. Yeah, they might make it. I mean, that was a pretty bold move of them to open like a $5 million visitor center, gift shop and stuff or something like that. I mean, gosh, Derek. I don't know. I mean, I would love to still see like even some of your brands that have emerged a little bit already start to get that foothold, even though it'd be tougher to get their products, right? Woodinville made some pretty big steps these last 18 months, right? I mean, that type of brand to me is what I love because I love the story too, right? I'm a sucker for a story. I told you guys that earlier. Like that's one of the things that, for me, which is why I was hoping Laws would maybe gain some more traction. That's a great story. That's grain to glass. 291. Another one. Yeah, another Colorado one. And again, they have some notoriety already, and I'd love to see that continue to grow. So Pursuit United with making some moves. Well, those guys are definitely going to make some moves. They've got the platform for it, and they're doing some pretty good blending. I lump Redwood in there. They should take the next step soon. Yeah, I look at I kind of see that there's this whole idea, and that's where I was going with that, Joe, is I feel like some of these places that I would name have probably been because I wasn't an early adopter. I got in on the first part of the wave, right, so to speak, in terms of my experience with them. So I'm looking for who are those brands to get in touch with and look at it and say, listen, guys, like I'd love to be like, an advocate for you if you're putting out good juice. Like, I mean, I don't think this channel is going to reach millions of people, but Frey Ranch is great. And I'm going to buy up everything of Frey Ranch I can possibly get my hands on. All right. What did I pour? Oh, the Yellowstone. The only thing that annoys me about Yellowstone is they do not go in depth with their single barrel picks in terms of information to a great degree. The only thing they tell you is it's 4 to 7 year. on the label, and it's kind of annoying. Now that may have changed last year, but this one, they don't tell you. It might be somewhere on the next trip. I didn't look. I didn't get to inspect the bottle that closely, but it didn't appear like they tell you too much information about it. Unfortunately, and that's kind of unfortunate to me. That's another one of the biggest. Any craft distillery, most of your crafts are much better at this, to be honest with you. But not all of them. I want the transparency. Give me the transparency. Tell me the mash bill. I am not gonna go in my kitchen and Walter White up your fucking whiskey. Like, it's not gonna happen. Okay, it's just not. So I think it's after 9 o'clock. I'm dropping f bombs. I don't care. But like, I'm not. It's not gonna happen. So what are you out telling me your mash bill? You know. So there you go, man. See, and that's the thing. Like, you learn people's palates. I mean, this is a thing that kind of is another topic. You're getting me off on tangents tonight, but that's fine. I'm okay with it. I've always, well, you guys, most of you that know me long enough, I don't, I'm probably a contrarian thinker, but I don't quite fit that mold either. I don't necessarily watch something and say, I hate that. I can't identify with it. Like, when I'm watching a whiskey tuber or someone that's into something I like to say, well, what do they like? Because there's still value in that for me. If I know what they like and they say they like X and Y, and that's not exactly aligned, well, I know I just don't like X probably. If we align and I know who they are, they kind of know about them a little bit, right? I don't think that makes it a bad thing. I don't think it means I shouldn't, but I know people like to identify things they like. So, I mean, that's why I always take the stance and say, if I'm not for you, that's totally fine. So, do we consider the Hidden Barn stuff to be craft? Yeah. Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yes, more definitively I'd say yes, but I struggle with Hidden Barn just in general. Yeah, I don't know. I think Neely Family Distillery is. I don't know. What do you think, Joe? Yeah, it is. Well, you get out to examples. So, like, it's funny. Derek and I were talking today. And so the topic about it was, well, where are all these people getting? If they're not, there are a number of producers that get that are blending, that are NDPs, even non-distilling producers. They get barrels from Tennessee that are not coming from Dickel, and it blows my mind because I don't know of any other major producer in there. And we're like, the only other, and Derek brought up one that's not probably, that most people probably don't associate as craft, because they're kind of not, but they really are. Uncle Nearest, right? So another one. Now they're more established, clearly, and it's a resurrected brand, but whatever. I suppose they are craft breakout that will continue to move this year. Yeah, we're in that weird transitional phase, and that's kind of what I was getting at. Like, I don't know who the next it people are that are getting ready to have their product hit that 4 and 5 year point. Nulu. You know what's funny is, like, I get it. I know they're not your jam, man. Sitting at Prohibition Craft Spirits and sitting there with the bar experience was awesome, because the bartender herself was awesome, and they make good craft cocktails as well with whiskey and some other things like that. Trying their 9-year cast strength, their juice was very good. Have I loved a lot of their straight up products prior to that? Not to use your tagline for your channel, straight up, but have I loved it? No, I haven't. Finished products, they put out occasional fun finished products. Do I keep getting Nulu? I only have one Nulu. It's a tequila, of all things. So weird, right? Who is it that does the funky waxed bottles? They're not new, but they're Good Times. I kind of start to lump those two together. Though Good Times is stepping out and doing some way funky stuff compared to Nulu. But because of the bottle similarity and label similarity, because they both generally have a white label, I kind of lump those together. I don't, call me wrong for it. It's fine. But I kind of just seem to run those two together in my head. And truth be told, I think I'd rather have Good Times most of the time. That's not being funny. I'm being 100% serious. It sounds funny to say, but yeah, I at least had some fun finishes on the Good Time stuff. And yeah, the Nulu, take it or leave it. So we'll see. But I definitely, it's a weird year this year. It just is. It's gonna come down to, makes sense. Yeah, Nulu's, for what they are doing, is, yeah. least the good times guys are like, all right, hey, let's roll with this. So it's funny though, like the other trend that's just going to explode even more this year as we get away from kind of craft stuff is clearly your finishers, right? It's taking your MGP, your ASW juice, your wherever you're getting it from, and your finishers. They're all going to. But you keep getting new though. Oh, I didn't pick up on that. You're talking to him. Are your finishers, right? And it's not just good times. It's 4-gate. It's you can name a bunch of them if you go on the list. And that's going to continue to be a trend as well. I mean, it's just and it's kind of sad in a way because it's like some of these things are aged stock and they're finishing it, and you're kind of like, man, or it's blended with a certain percentage of aged stock, and you're kind of like, wow. That's kind of sad. How bad was that, right? Or how undesirable was that as a potential standalone product that you just bought and spent a ton of money on, and now passing on to me in a $200 bottle, right? So, that's an interesting one for me. It goes along with the whole white ties it back together with a whole white brandy, white whatever cask. Yeah, that's crazy times. I don't know. I will say the other thing that has really started opening my eyes, and I know, Joe, I already know where your comment's going to go on this. Glassware choice has really changed how I enjoy whiskey. Working on at least getting affiliate with Whiskey. See about a little more than that. Penelope Rio. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me come back to that. In fact, I'm going to try and talk and do something else at the same time. Add some value here, but I love the neat glasses. Don't get me wrong, Joe. You're going to pop in and say something about neat glasses. I know you are, and you're not wrong. They are pretty daggone good, right? But I've really, honestly, just fallen almost in love with this Whiskey Scotch glass. It's just really, really good. So, am I over 21? Get out of here with that. Oh, I can't get it real quick. Oh, it's not even up. Shoot, Penelope hasn't updated their site. Anyway, I was going to pull that up, but you're drinking out of it. You're being so basic. So basic, Joe. I'm a basic Glenn. Who does that anymore? Second for Penelope Rio. Yeah, I think a lot of people are very excited about the Penelope finishes. Another one that's, they're honestly taking things and finishing them. We're going to get, guys, we're going to get hit with Architect single barrels this year a lot. Like they've been going out and marketing that a ton. Now, I don't think they have, thousands of barrels they're doing this. They're probably doing it for, it'll ultimately probably only be, some low number, maybe low hundreds overall by the time they're done with the program. Honey cask, then Amburana. Okay. You have my attention. Honey cask always intrigues me. Just does. Maybe I'm, Winnie the Pooh. I don't know. By the way, scary ass drinking out of a can tonight. What you drinking there? Little Bud Light. What? The new horror Winnie the Pooh movie. Did that not scare any of the rest of you guys? Like, I didn't even see the full trailer. I just realized, like, okay, so we now have Cocaine Bear and horror movie Winnie the Pooh. What the hell is happening? Like, seriously. Neat. See? There you go, Joe. You and Ryan, you guys are like peas in the pod. Peas and carrots. Forrest and Bubba. Or Lieutenant Dan. But you both so can't do that. Honeyball. Amburana. Go. Revenge the Bears. Well, not the Chicago Bears, that's for sure. On the movies. Yeah. So who apparently aside from the shirted cartoon version is now open intellectual property. That's the reason why they're able to make the movie and not have to pay like billions of dollars to, but I guess Disney owns that now. Yeah. So it's wild though. But yeah. So Amburana, scary Winnie the Pooh. Yes, Katie. There is a Winnie the Pooh horror movie coming out. New Riff Sherry finished very good. Should release about the time you guys are up this way. Well, there you go. New Riff. Another one that's going to be coming up on what? Their own 8-year juice this year? There you go. Derek and I were talking about this today too. How do you guys feel about this? So Derek and I get together to do lunch occasionally, and we were talking a little bit about some things, and won't go into those things because those are his and someone else's things potentially. But it got us spun around to a point in the conversation about what's the whiskey industry look like in 10 years. We know Buffalo Trace is going to have the ability to have twice the product out there, right? Love New Riffs. I know you do, dude. It's good stuff. They make good juice. But it also got me thinking, your Bardstowns of the world, 10 years from now, they're going to be sitting on 16-year-old juice in theory. Not a lot. Don't get me wrong. They're going to deplete their stocks. These craft guys that we're saying are pretty good right now, they're going to be on their third generation of 6-year-old product by then, potentially. Or second at least, but maybe third. How much did they learn? How much have they advanced? Do we still want whiskeys as an American drinking society? Bourbon in particular. Whiskey's always going to be a thing. Who knows? But I don't know. I did catch, as I told you guys earlier, I hadn't been watching a ton of whiskey too, but I did catch Trey from, he was on Bourbon Junkies. He is the guy that's over the top of the Blue Run barrel program. Which he also does other things there, but he was a collegiate wrestler. Pretty cool guy. He's like 30-something, and he's just ridiculous in terms of his whiskey collection behind him and everything he talked about. But he did say that Blue Run, of course, they're starting to lay down their own distillate, right? And have been for a couple of years. They're building their own facility, all this. He did say that they probably, as of the current moment, are not thinking about even putting on an age-stated product that's less than 7 years at this point, because they feel that's the right move in the market, is to make sure you have a little more mature, aged product to put out as an age-stated product. So that gave me a little hope to look at it and say, if others go in that direction, which we know Bardstown waited 6 years, right? Now, they had a lot of other revenue and some seed money from some rounds of investments and things like that, keeping them floating too. But at the same time, you look at it and you say, hey, if one other brand says they want to be more age-stated and Bardstown came out at 6 years, which, truth be told, maybe they really wanted to wait another year or two, but kind of felt some pressure to get some revenue from their own barrels sitting around. Who knows? Kind of gives me some hope that my brain's not big enough to wrap around and know what's going to happen in 10 years. But these folks are already thinking the consumer 4, 5, 6 years from now is going to want values there. I don't know. That's just where we kind of left it. Or last point, we didn't really agree, disagree. Such an interesting thing though, because man, I don't know. We were at a share. Some of you guys on here were at that share, at a craft beer share 5 years ago. And I looked around and I said, yeah, 5, 10 years from now, half of us won't drink craft beer at all anymore. Or we'll drink so little of it, it'll be funny. And I think there were some in the room that kind of thought maybe, nah, he's an idiot. Well, I am an idiot, but let's get up beyond that. And lo and behold, look, I mean, it is turning, there's people that have stopped drinking entirely. So part of that was that calculation for health reasons or because they needed to or whatever. There's people that have moved on primarily to bourbon, because I love sitting down and having a good craft beer. But truth be told, if it's a stout, I only want 4 or 5 ounces when I would be Mr. Let's crack a big stout and let's go. I'm going to drink most of it. Is what it is. There's some that's going to move on to tequila. There's some moving on to cocktails. People will migrate to wine, which ironically you can still have shipped to you direct consumer in the United States in most places, and not bourbon. We'll get back into that. We'll stay away from that. But yeah, I don't know. 10 years, it's hard to predict, right? But gosh, I hope that no matter what's happening here, that we get great available bourbon and whiskeys and ryes in 10 years because of all this. You're probably 75-25 leaning to bourbon now. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably even further than that. But that said, every time we go travel into a new city, I look up distilleries first, but I look up breweries. J.E. sipping on old fashioned made with Woodford rye, not your favorite straight, but makes a good old fashioned. You make a good old fashioned, dude. That was weird. I'm sorry. I don't know. All right, let's finish this and move on to number 6 for Luana. I didn't talk about this Yellowstone at all. I do enjoy it. I think it's on the younger side of the 4 to 7. I'm okay with that. Had a nice little spiciness quality to it. A little bit of chocolatey finish notes. That just hit me. Wow. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Oh, Luana. Ryan, if Luana's not on, you need to thank her for me. Luana, if you're on, thank you. Joe, if you're on, thank you. Because Actually, I don't even have to show the card on this one since we got the little autofocus thing in. There's about maybe half to 3/4 of an ounce left of something that says PVW23. I don't know if you know what that means. It's a lab experiment, probably. No, cheers to you. Thank you. We gotta hold on. We gotta finish the other one. 2 drinks down. Right? But we have to pour what's left of this Pappy Van Winkle 23. And it's between a half and 3/4 of an ounce. Cheers, everyone. Cheers to you. I know what that code is. Yeah, that's code for oh yeah. Incredibly spoiled this year for 12 days. Thank you guys. Obviously, I didn't probably pull the Yellowstone from Andy. I don't think he quite made it on tonight. If he did, what's up, Andy? But yeah, cheers. See, unbelievable. Still unbelievable. On the nose, like Pappy 23. There's this thought process among a lot of people, and I think Joe even said this when I was chatting with him about it. A lot of the years of Pappy 23 are oaky, really, really oaky. More than an oak bomb oaky. This one, Andy steals. He does. I know he does. Like jewelry. Wait, allegedly. Hold on, Derek. Please type the word allegedly, please. All right. This one is not an oak monster. There's definitely oak there. But Joe, did we land on saying this was a 2020 or 2019 version? Vintage, if we will. I don't remember. But unbelievably generous. Thank you. Luana, thank you for picking. Told you they're out of order. You picked 6. This was actually day 12. Just a treat. I'm going to enjoy this. Thank you. Dot allegedly. Yeah. But man, I don't know what to tell you. This is definitely having pours and making memories with you guys. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I'm not worried about it, man. Don't get up and go look. But I thought you said you thought it might have been in 2020 or 2019. Excited. So here's another thing. Like we talk about what's the next 10 years bring us in whiskey, right? As I pour this Pappy Van Winkle 23, well, it doesn't really matter, like, in all honesty, whether it's a 19 or 20. It predated the Buffalo Trace. So, because Buffalo Trace didn't contract there until 2002, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, so we think about that. So what does the next 10 years of bourbon bring us? Well, one of the things the next 10 years of bourbon brings us is the first 20-year product. No, last year would have been the first 20-year product. The first 23-year product from Buffalo Trace is the Pappy line. So there's some milestones for some of these other brands too in the next 10 years that we forget all about, right? Which may not be exciting to everyone, but it still is interesting to see that a lot of distillers, at least from the limited things I've read of them and know about them, a lot of distillers kind of look at it and say that's a turn for them. So now the next set of product, while it might have been made, when that Pappy 23 comes out in 2025, 2026 will be the first vintage that was not from the original distillate. So that's kind of a cool thing. There's a barrel of whiskey going into space. So that's coming in the next 10 years. Yeah, so let's go back to the space. I got a few things going on here. I'll come back and catch up on chat. Barrel of whiskey going into space. $75,000 NFT to buy a right to turn in the NFT and get the bourbon. 5 barrels. Believe that the waste or angel share or alien share, I'm going to call it. I'm going to try and start that. So let's figure out wherever I see anybody put an article, I'm going to be like, what about the hashtag alien share? I'm starting that. Start it right here. You can't have it. It's mine. Please, just kidding. But they say they don't believe there'll be a lot of angel share just because it's going to be quasi-controlled climate. I don't know how it's going to work. If they lose temperature in there, I don't care if they put it up there and throw it up there at 125 proof. There's a chance that stuff freezes. So, I mean, I just don't understand the whole. I don't really understand the whole premise. Like, I know we've had other things. Like, there was beer that was shot into space. Nankasi or somebody. They did it and whatever. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, especially for 75 grand. That's just the ultimate fuck you money right there, is all that is. So, interesting concept. If somebody offered me a chance to sip on it, I hope I get superpowers. That'd be amazing. I don't know. All right. Obviously, I'll be curious how much Buffalo Trace or Sazerac. I saw your next comment down there. Yeah. So, in theory, like their product, depending on how they choose to do it, right? Um, their product should become doubly available. And we should see some improvements from the distribution partner if all the things they alleged about the old distribution partner are true. We should see that. So Jay, real quick on the space thing, just 'cause I saw it pop up. So suppose it's going to be aged for 4 or 5 years before it goes up. So they will already have the benefit of that. I don't know. But yeah, you would think like that it should double, but I mean, I don't know what to think about that. Like, is it clearly we're not talking about the Van Winkle family. If the B tax double, does that mean anything? They already get snapped up. Half of them go to off premise, 2% go out of the United States. What does it mean? Mictors. Yeah, Mictors. So let's see. At the end of 10 years, as best we know, in 2014 or 15 is when they started putting their own juice away. No, I mean, if you're talking their 25-year product, they won't have a full 25-year product by then yet. So, will they be able to cover their 10-year product? Yeah, they will. But remember, for Mictors, they don't claim that everything is just barely 10 years. They actually say there's been blends that have been primarily 13, 14, 15 year. Who knows on that one? Sazerac, yeah. Alien Share. Ninkasi, thank you. Think you still have 2 bottles. Yeah, and then back to Jay's comment. Yeah, you're right. It's such a weird thing to do. Like, come on. I gotta get this Pappy real quick. Hang on, I gotta go talk to Pappy. I don't care if there's silence. It's a unique experience in a wonderful way. Now, I won't sit here and shit you guys and tell you it's like just the most gold. I'm going to shit gold bricks tomorrow. It's great. It is great. That said, having talked to other people, having talked to Joe, you won't get this experience unless you get this vintage. You'll get a very oak monster, oak bomb experience. And if you love chewing on wood, good for you. We will keep any connotations away from that. We will just leave it at that and move on. Penelope have their own juice in barrels. So I understand that they do, but I don't know the age and I don't know when. But they're obviously MGP at this point. You should shit gold bricks. Now I'll do that. That's fair. Your dog likes to chew on wood. See? Yeah. If this were what I have been told Pappy 23 should be like, it would not be my jam. This, enjoyable. Just kidding. It actually is. It actually, Mr. Wallace, it actually is presenting with more oak than when I remember trying it for the 12 days, slightly. But there's just also that beautiful, still slightly spiciness to it. There's not huge because it's got age on it, a ton of age. Little underlying cherries, little underlying, almost a bubblegummy quality, kind of weird. I don't know. Enjoyable, just unique. You're not going to get anything like it. For me, I mean, it's not my money, but for me, if you lined me up and told me I could have, now this is where I'm not trying to make you mad, Derek, but you told me I could take Elijah Craig 18, Knob Creek 18, or Pappy 23, and you gave me them blind, I'd still pick Pappy 23. OF 19. We'll have to pop that. Jeez, Joe, I can't keep up with you. It's all good. No, so that's the next 10 years are gonna be wild. Yeah. Now that's if I don't know. You got to think maybe these whiskey people thought they're going to send up in a balloon too, which is really fraught with risk at this point, to be honest with you. So I don't know how they plan on getting it up there. It was SpaceX. They're talking SpaceX. I'm joking. Trying to do my stand-up comedy act in front of you guys now, but all right, take this last sip, and then I'm gonna get into one more. And then I may leave you beautiful people to your evening. What else do you guys want to talk about? Has anyone else poured anything else different? Has anyone else moved on to a beer, wine, tequila, gin, anything like that? That was a treat. That was an absolute treat. All right. Oh.
3 drinks.
That was 3 drinks down. And then this one.
This
on the house.
On the house.
Jack Daniels. Age MGP is supposed to be special. Come on, Ryan. Am I ruining the illusion for you? The Age MGP may or may not be special, which is why it might be finished so much. Pecan pie. How did I know I was going to hear that out of you? Pecan pie. Yeah, pecan pie. All right. Ryan, this is just, we should put a barrel in Chinese weather balloon and send it around the world. That's where I was going with that. So I'm glad you picked up on that. Thank you. Ryan, as luck would have it, I can't make this up. I was going front to back the entire time. There were 3 in front, 4 in back. You picked 7, if you recall. 7 happens to be Evan Williams 12 year. It's a great way to end the show. Not get off for a while. Don't get me wrong. Great way to end the show, though. More notifications. All right, fair. But as you guys know the whole story by now, it is legend that I broke EW12 in Louisville in the hotel while we were loading up to leave. And it is so good, Joe. You're right. But as luck would have it, it's just how it comes out. Some dude dropped a whole bottle of stuff. So now in my career, I've broken 3 bottles, just so you know. Okay, Nick, you picked 7. I thought it was Ryan. I'm sorry. Well, thank you, Nick. Ryan thanks you too. In my career, I've now broken 3 bottles. So don't leave your bottles around me. That's what I got to say about that. Oh, they have a plaque in the. I think they actually did like the whole home plate thing. Like they put a plate down that said this was where the Evan Williams 12 was broken. Dude, when I walked up, the funniest part about the whole story that like we kind of left it out. The latest was a Yellowstone distillery only on the way home from Louisville. I knew better. I flat knew better on that one. That's 100% on me. 100% on me. I tried to overpack, and that was my fault. Pure and simple. Pure and simple. And the worst part about that shit was we put our clean clothes around the... I had a bag inside a bag, a hard side bag inside a hard side bag. And the worst part about it was my clean clothes were in the bag where that it broke in. So we get home, and you expect to have to do freaking laundry for your dirty clothes. But we had to wash all clean clothes, too. Second, I'll come back to you a couple comments. Other 2. So first one was this Evan Williams 12 in Louisville. Sensing a theme here for 2 of the 3 at least. The other one's not. Broke it in the hotel lobby. Had it in what I thought was a sturdy enough bag, but the bag broke. There was some other crap bottles in there that were nowhere near. There was the Varial Barton 86 survived, and the Evan Williams 12 didn't. Sheared almost like off where like it made like a candle. It was really weird. Yeah, it was a solemn experience. Like it was awkward. Like Sarah tells Ryan, we were with Ryan Lawana. Sarah tells Ryan Lawana like he broke a bottle inside. She goes out to the car, and Ryan's like, which one? And she's like, I think it was that one. And I get in the car and like, what'd you break? I'm like, it was Evan Williams 12. And like I was going through it. Wanted to have some rage, but we were getting ready to drive back to Dayton. So whatever, it's a drive. Well, I didn't talk for 45 minutes because I was just so mad at myself. Apparently that made it pretty awkward for them, and I feel bad about that. That part I feel terrible about because you don't ever want to make it awkward for someone else over your own screw up, to be honest with you. And yeah. Oh boy. The other one I broke, just to close the loop here on that particular line, was a benchmark foolproof. I did that at neighbor's pool. I mean, Mike Mendoza, if you see him on here, I did it at his pool. Was the dumbest thing in the world. They've all been relatively dumb situations, to be honest with you. No better than to take a bottle to someone's house and take it out to the pool first thing. Set it on a chair, which happened to be in the sun deck. Went to slide the chair slightly, and it just caught on the sun deck and wiggled it. And I was looking around because someone said something, and it just fell. It fell on the coping, though. Not a single shard of glass, as best we could tell, got in the pool. And I was able to shop vac it. Andy brought a shop vac down. Mendoza borrowed my pressure wash the next day, and they pressure washed their deck, and no harm, no foul. But yeah, so 3 bottles over the course of the last 24 months. That said, a wine check is being purchased for traveling purposes. And I have upped my game on my person to person traveling to places, carrying bottles. So yeah, it's a bad thing. Pool pass revoked. You're not wrong about that. Yeah, it's the dumbest thing. I freaking own a pool and I know better. Now drinking Parker's Heritage Double Barrel Blend. That's a piece of crap, Joe. You should just give me the rest of that bottle. Actually, you know where I land on Parker's. No, okay, so let's talk about that. That's a great topic. So maybe we just segued into something kind of fun. How great of a year did Heaven Hill have last year with LEs in particular, and ended the Elijah Craig and Larceny line really well last year. Like Heaven Hill started bringing it last. I mean, they were starting to bring it with some of the LEs the year or two before. They really brought it last year. Heaven Hill 17. This year's Parker's Heritage. Yeah, Heaven Hill's crushing it. I mean, BT gets all the love because they have all the product lines and everything and whatnot. Heaven Hill, holy crap, 2022. If I would have put out lists, I would have said they were the distillery of the year last year. And you know I'm a huge turkey fan. You know it pains me to say that, but I just when I look at the two and I look at their LEs and I compare some things, the single Rickhouse Select is what dropped turkey down for me. It just wasn't that great, and you're hanging a $250 price tag on it. I can't get with that. So overall, Heaven Hill better than BT. We'll see. They fell up 23 this year. I think there's no question about that. Select bottle James brought to the share was incredible. Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, I want to see what Heaven Hill follows up with this year. In theory, it should stay around the same, right? Because I don't know what I don't know, but we should see some Heaven Hill 18. We know that the what's the release March 1st? It's a 20-year mellow corn, is what I was reading. I don't know if that's true, but I was reading it. It's on the internet, so it's got to be true, right? This makes me kind of sad because we just can't leave a couple days early to drive up. We're leaving for Ohio on the 2nd, and I can't leave on the 30th. I can't because February doesn't have a 30th. That's why I can't leave on the 30th. But I can't leave on the 28th. It's just not going to work out. So, yeah, I didn't get a chance to try that one. Bernheim, for most people, they get that face when you bring up Bernheim. But so, yeah, gosh, I might have to still try to figure out how to work that out, Joe. Because it would be Sarah and I in line. We'd get one each. Which obviously just means I can keep one and open it, and the other one can go to get me some other things that I want. There was a whole other topic too that I'd seen not too long ago when the whole announcement about it being a high corn recipe, or just single corn or high corn, whatever you want to call it, about how those are just simply the best aged products. Like, why are distilleries even bothering with their full mash bills? Well, now, I mean, I know you like it, but I do too. Like, mellow corn is such a weird thing. Like, I'm probably going to put out a video in the next 2 weeks that's, I don't know if I'm going to go clickbait on it. We've tried to kind of back off the clickbaity kind of titles a little bit, but I might. I'm going to put out a video that's going to be, best or my favorite. I'm not sure what it'll be yet. Bottle under $15. And mellow corn is one that kind of breaks that for me. It just does. You guys probably know what it is. I'll tell you guys, it is what it is. I love the shit out of Ariel Barton 86. I just do. Had a good memory with Ryan, of course, because we sat in the hotel room and drank it. And I mean, but other than that, I mean, it's been James and I's warm-up drink for recording, and we freaking love it. It's like, this is really good. This is actually worthy of getting camera time. And there's some of those guilty pleasures. Both Larceny and EC Barrel Proof are off to a good start this year already. Haven't had the A123s. I hope to catch them. They're just not hitting the Florida market. So, Bottom Shelf Bully. Oh, that's a good title for a video. Is this a bottom shelf bully? Look at you. Look at you. Might borrow that, just so you know. Yeah. Old Charter 8. Pretty darn good. Okay, so we held Old Charter out. It doesn't really fit that whole thing we're doing currently. We are going to do a low shelf or a bottom shelf bully battle. I don't know. That's what we're calling it. And that's going to be an interesting one because, man, if you guys haven't been back to Jack old Jack number 7, go back to it. I'm not going to tell you it's the greatest stuff in the world. It's not. It's not bad. You just used to remember in college when you'd shoot it, or before college for a lot of people. It's not bad. We forget there's that low end of bourbon that is, and it's Tennessee whiskey. Okay, whatever, Lincoln County process. We forget, but man, there's so much accessible whiskey. If we bring it up $5 to $20. Oh, Old Charter 8 against Mellow Corn. Fight. Okay, we might have to do that. Yeah, we forget about that low end. So maybe that's another thing for the next 10 years, right? Like, honestly, it's fatiguing to think I have to go out and spend $100 for every bottle I want to buy. It is. And I can't imagine it's much different for a lot of people. So maybe the whole idea here, because I already have an idea that when I come home from Ohio, because we don't get, well, you know what? I think I did see it in ABC. Maybe we are getting it now. We get Varial Barton 80 and we get Varial Barton 100. We don't get the 86 down here. I'm not sure the 80 would be vastly different. It's watered down a little more, but I tend to not gravitate towards the 100 because it is a little more, it tastes a little more rough. And what I like about that 86 is, sure, it's thin. It's got a nice little spicy character. It's got a nice little sweet character, and it hits me where I want it. But yeah, your Old Charter 8, same thing. It's not the most refined thing in the world. Mellow Corn, horse of a different color. Yeah, give you that. So maybe that's what we're talking about for the next 10 years is maybe people back off and you see where some of the higher end products are. Rittenhouse Rye single barrels now. Yeah, and the price point on those single barrels is insanely low. I think I'm seeing them at $28 to $32 for most places. That's ridiculous. But it makes sense when you look at the Buffalo Trace where they do the barrel selection thing. It's the cheapest barrel, you know. By the way, if you guys haven't done that, I think the cutoff to go change your preference on the Buffalo Trace Barrel Select program is next Friday. Might be, could be. Don't quote me on that. Make sure you're in it because you get a credit for every year you're in it. So if you don't win, you get more credits the following year and whatnot. You can choose to either be in straight Buffalo Trace and be picked for just a Buffalo Trace brand, or you can be in all the others. And make sure if you have an account and you haven't seen it already, go change your preference on that. It's super important because if you win, you'd be so mad at yourself if you're just in the Buffalo Trace. Although in the grand scheme of things, it's not equal. You wouldn't necessarily have won the other one, right? Who knows? 2 separate drawings. But make sure you go do that because I'd be happy with a Buffalo Trace pick. But if I could have had a Stag Junior or even something like, Weller Special Reserve, I probably would prefer that. So sorry, it's buzzing. Yeah, Old Overhold, OGD, and Old Crow, all be nice as the bottom shelf pull. Yeah, all on the list. And then you get down to some of those other, you have to throw in the legacy branch. You have to throw in the Beam. You have to throw in the Jack. And chances are against these other things, they're going to lose first round. They just are. But maybe not, right? Can Buffalo Trace return to the bottom shelf? That's a good 10-year topic right there. Like, these are great ideas, guys. And I can come back and look in the comments on these and find these. Maybe that's the question is, does that mean Buffalo Trace returns to the bottom shelf? I mean, in theory, right now, it's a $26 MSRP product. So if the question is, pardon me, I guess the real question is on that, does demand finally meet supply and then they can justify a price increase? Then it doesn't. If demand more than satisfies, if supply more than satisfies demand, maybe not. Evan Williams, Bottle and Bond, totally agree on that one as well. There's so many examples of these things that are, especially if we already stretch up to $20, but stretch it one more time to $25, and I'll allow Buffalo Trace to get the discussion because it's $26, $25.99. But yeah. Corn crackers, another nice corn crackers. Ancient Age, we don't see on shelves down here. Doesn't have. If it hits, they're gone. Corn crackers. Are you messing with me? It feels like a cereal. Hey, Mom, I want some corn crackers. I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, Ancient Age 10. I agree. So weird, right? Like there are JTS Brown bonded, solid pour, solid bottle, right? All these things we forget about them. And it's another reason why you're watching Whiskey Tubers, because we're not in exciting release season again until late spring, early summer. You're seeing all those Whiskey Tubers double back down on the bottom shelves and things like that. No, I get it. It's not for everybody. It's not exactly for me either, but it has a following. If we're talking about some of these other things that have a cult following or a following in general, JTS Brown absolutely does. So it's a cool spot to be in. And maybe that's the whole point here, right? Maybe like, if you look at your bar 10 years from now, you're gonna have a lot of fun stuff. Okay, so a craft brand. Okay, corn crackers distilled. Do you know, is that the name of the distillery or is that just the name of the brand? I could probably look it up, but I don't want to be not paying attention to you guys. That's crazy. Corn crackers. Dude, corn whiskey might be a new reinvigorated thing. It already was a thing in our country, but it could be a reinvigorated thing. Who knows? I'd love to see it. It does. You hardly ever taste a high corn product that's like bad. I can't. I've not had many, but I can't think of one that is. I won't say it's impossible to screw up. Oh, it's actually corncrackerswhiskey.com or .com. Okay, it's about time to cut it off, Nate. But yeah, I'm sure there's some out there. Somebody has to screw up a fermentation or something and just not be a good distiller. But it feels like it could easily be one of those things where it's like, we can cover up things with the corn because it's a little less complex. Whereas like you bring in some of those other, not scientific because I don't know all the science, but you bring in some of those other products like your malted rye and your malted wheats and things like that. And they've got other components to them. Oh, MGP. There you go. Corn crackers, MGP, apparently. Maybe not, though, Joe. Oh, yeah, Bloomington. Yeah. Is it MGP brand? That's wild. Ryan, did you know that? Bloomington, now that I see Bloomington and think about it, that makes more sense. But I don't pretend to think that some wild-ass Indiana country boy was like, I live in Bloomington. I'll start a distillery. I'll show them. Probably got the wrong Indiana accent, but whatever. People in Indiana probably don't like me. Well, Travis likes me. He's in Indiana. Okay. I love this. Just the peanut skin, peanut shell, not shell, peanut skin, peanut bottle in Bloomington, Indiana, was distilled. Lawrence. Okay, there you go. Ryan, what are you doing picking MGP, bro? Huh? It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I would too. Although that'd be hilarious if somebody filed for a DSP. Like, can you imagine how the whiskey world's mind would explode if somebody applied for a DSP in Lawrenceburg, Indiana? The whiskey world's mind would explode. No, you can't. Matt, you're right. Elijah Craig small batch is delicious. Really is. But that's not even a bottom shelf bully. That's just that's a well, so there is some classification according to some. So you end up with your bottom shelf or inexpensive or whatever you want to call it shelf. Then there's mid-tier and mid-tier plus, or mid-level and mid-level plus, depending on who you talk to. So what we're doing on the show, minus the Buffalo Trace, is all mid-tier. Well, Wild Turkey 101 might be mid-tier plus. Everything else, like when you step into the brands above all the bottles we're doing on that series we're doing right now, gets in the mid-tier plus. Then you get to allocated. So allocated is the next step above that. So yeah, I mean, we have so many steps in this whole process, like and availability. Like seriously, the Costco pricing for that product, I guess. No, you're not wrong. I mean, $25 for an Elijah Craig, again, Heaven Hill. What are you seeing at Fort Total Wine? $30, either $29 or $32.99, right? Costco saving you $5 or $6 a bottle there, pretty much. Can't beat that. It's like they've had Calumet 15 sitting forever for $109, which is well under market, but so many other things I want to buy. I just haven't brought myself around to buying it. It's going to happen. I don't know what to say. I don't know. All I know is great whiskey, and you guys have been awesome tonight. This has been a fun time. I'm gonna look to shut it down here in a few minutes, but I could be talking to one more pour. Not Malort. Not Malort. Could be talking to one more pour. I don't know. All it would take is someone else tell me they poured something new and they've got something new in their glass. I can't let you drink alone for a few minutes at least. Now drinking bottle drags off the Fortuna bottle. I'm good enough for me, whether you're doing it or not. All right. We finish this up. Pour that Hainer. I need to. We'll save that for next week. For sure. Because I don't know where it's at, to be honest with you. Since I rearranged, I have zero idea where it's at. And I picked this bottle up for me to drink right now. So I apologize for that. But yes. Oh, by the way, have you had a chance to go to Hainer since I sent you that information about that label, Ryan? Because I'm all in. Like, I need a bottle or two of that. It's a rye. So Hainer is sourcing from Bardstown, I think. And they're a legacy brand. They were a brand back in the 1800s. And the guys got the analysis off of an old bottle. And they're trying to recreate the brand in the old bottles, in the old mash bill and everything. And so it's a cool story. They're not necessarily doing their own distilling right there, but they're contracting it out. And so this is the stuff that Bardstown's gotten themselves known for, is they're able to do that forensic bourbon, essentially. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Have not, need to get with them and they get released it. Yeah. Bardstown Juice, MGP Juice on Ruse. So yeah, it's wild. Joe just sent me a photo. Oh boy. Fortuna with me on. Not kidding. No, he's not. He wasn't kidding. He wasn't kidding. All right, let me down this water and then I'll show you what I'm going to pour last. Probably won't come as a surprise to most of you. It's been my favorite bottle for a month now. And I have not drank much of it because I don't drink. When we aren't live and I'm not shooting, I don't drink much anymore. Do you guys still drink nightly or daily? I'm not judging. There's no judgment here whatsoever. Just curious. All right. So hopefully I'm going to track down the good old, look at that. Look at how sharp that is. Look how far we've come. Let's see how far we've come. That was extra special singing for you guys. Yeah, Fried Daily. I don't know what's going on here. You guys are all on the rise. Gotcha. Just poured a Chattanooga. JT, Chattanooga has my heart. Like, they're starting to come around. Really enjoying some of the stuff. Joe's a weekend warrior. Job forces you to drink. Well, mine kind of does too, if you count this as a job. But I get what you mean, Matt. I know what you mean exactly. Yeah, Joe, did you like that? That was solid, wasn't it? I'll do it again, just because. Just for you, Joe. Do this again. Whop. That's what happens with a new setup. See? Get the setup right. Get it tight. I don't have another sound for that, so depends on the day is gone. Yeah, I'm probably actually there. I'm going to start, not to get nerded out about whiskey, but I'm going to start having a pour or two through the week, and I'm going to start journaling about it. Not like deep journaling where you guys can't read my journal and stuff. More so about like tasting notes and stuff because, hey, yeah, my arms did look very long. You're not wrong about that. I get it. You drink Fried Daily, which means every day's Friday and you drink. I get it. I'm not that slow. Well, I am. Let's be honest. I dig this. Guys, this larceny. It's my jam right now. It is my jam right now. And I'm sad that I probably can't find it on the shelf. I see what you did there. I do see what you did there. Be careful. I see what you did. Just so good. Smells good. All right. So I see Fortuna. What else? We have Chattanooga. JT, thanks for joining, dude. Pour that Hainer. We will pour that Hainer. We'll come back to that. I'd love to go to Hainer. Like, if we can make it work out. Like, I got to get to Century Bar this time in Dayton, period. I'd love to go to Hainer if it works out, though. So maybe we'll have to figure that out. We'll have most of Saturday free. Saturday. Hey, Matt, thanks for coming, buddy. Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. Saturday the 4th will be mostly free. So maybe hit up Hainer if they're open that day. That'd be awesome. I'd love to chat it up with those guys and bring out. I'm not too shy to be like, hey, I saw this label. When is this coming out? Like, let's figure that out. I need a bottle of that in my life. So JT. Let's see. What'd you say? Started watching, tempting to make my next poor larceny barrel. I mean, I don't have to tempt you with a good time, do I? Do I really have to tempt you with a good time? I don't think I do. I mean, the truth of the matter is, I'm having this one with you, which is an ounce and a half, and then I'm gonna jet. But you know, it's all good. I got to record tomorrow and figure out some other things to record. So, yeah, we are. So we're getting close to Tampa Bay Beer Week. So you're gonna see some solo episodes from me. James is insanely busy with Tampa Bay Beer Week. It's coming up in less than a month now. And so he needs some time away to kind of do that. So you're going to see that. So you'll get just mostly me with the new set. So that's kind of cool. I think I'm probably going to record. I'm going to record that 86 tomorrow. That Varied Forester 86. That's going to be a fun one for me. I just enjoy the shit out of that pour. And I can't. It's going to be fun because when your joy about something comes out across, it makes the video so much better. Or if your hatred or not dislike for something, you're like, God, this sucks. This is terrible. That makes it so much better. It's those ones that are in the middle ground that are just so hard to shoot. You're like, yeah, can't wait for 2 weeks hype. I know, right? I'm ready to be up there, dude. And then we're gonna go to Whiskey Weekend, which is Podcast's event on the way home in Nashville. So I'm pumped about that too, because I'm actually gonna get to meet Chad and Sarah from It's Bourbon Night, which have not met them yet. Shayla from Whiskey Central is going to be there, which I've met her. She's super awesome. And then a couple others. And then there could be some other surprises. So, dude, you're welcome to stop by, man. Bridge is clogged up. Bridge is not clogged up. Come on by. I'm here. There's very few nights. So Monday night's the only night we go buy groceries. That's it. We're here. So let me know. James who? Oh, stop it. Stop it. No, I get it. Like dude, I mean, Corporate Ladder they're amazing. I mean, they have just, from where they started, which they started on a decent base. It was, were they where they are now? No brewery is, but dude, it's wild. Like, and I take it or leave it for what it is. Untapped is a cesspool in some respects. They're top 50 in the world on Untapped. I mean, it's wild. And a lot of it, it's all merited. There's definitely fanboys and fangirls. Don't get me wrong. That never will score a beer below a 4.75 or a 5. And, even if you had James sitting right here right now, which I told you guys, I'll never put him in that spot to talk about beer because he's in the industry and I would hate to put him. But if I did and he was willing to talk about it, he would tell you they put out beers that aren't 5s all the time. They don't want to put out beers that are 3s on purpose. They don't. But, I don't think any producer does. Like, you talk to a distillery, it's like, I don't want to put a bourbon that's a 3. But if most people think it's a 4 or 4.25, that's a win. Because I can't put out a 5 every time. So. I see what you did there, JT. I don't know if you're a little more interested in Sarah. I get it. Yeah. But yeah. I suppose I drive there. I should actually try their stuff. You're not going to be able to try a lot of it, unfortunately, but you'll be able to try most of it. So, but I think their IPA game is underrated. If anything, lagers, they're great. In the Tampa Bay area, we're spoiled. We have a couple good lager places, right? But I think they hang with them. Certainly. I don't think they're going to necessarily usurp them, but they're right up there. Obviously stouts, obviously dessert station pastry, sours. They're all up there. And just the array. I mean, gosh, I still freaking love to this day when they make Doppelbox. They're freaking great. And it's like, nobody likes the dark lagers, whatever. And so whatever, I don't know. Craft beer, by the way, in case you didn't know, let me break it to you all right now. Craft beer is dying. Doesn't have a total terminal diagnosis. Not all of them will, but it's dying. It's sad. It really is. A lot of these folks have gotten themselves into distribution situations that is never going to be sustainable for them in terms of revenue and things like that. So waxing poetic about it because it is sad. We are going to see a number of people that we know have to make tough decisions, whether it be about whatever. Hopefully not shutting their businesses, but some are going to. So we'll see. Love everything we had. Huge Dessert Station fan. Yeah. Can't wait for our trip. Yeah, I can't either. But yeah, craft beer is unfortunately starting to die, and it won't all die. But it's definitely a smart person's game. Those that cut their margins too much are going to be in trouble. It's like a lot of other business, but you know, if you know anything about the brewing business, you know about some of the margins, and they're pretty crazy. Sarah Ann, the 937. Yeah, well, I'm not going to tell on her, but she did sneak through the 937 a day to get to Columbus. She just didn't tell anybody. But good reason, though. She's with her girls. She only had a short time there before they went to Columbus, so no big deal. She actually flew into CVG, so wasn't long that she was there. What are you guys excited about? Non-craft beer, non-bourbon. I know there are other spirits out there. There are other drinks. What would you be excited about? I guess it's not going to change focus of this channel. Trust me. We're not going to go, hey guys, we're into aperitifs now. That's it. No, not going to happen. But you guys have interest in rum at all? You guys have interest in cognac? Cognac, if you want to say it that way. I don't know. I'm always interested in that stuff because you always have people like, we might get an answer here. Barrel-aged Zima. I'm interested in that too. If you legit find it, I'm interested. I'm all in on barrel-aged Zima. Malort. I love Malort. Hey, so I don't think you were here the live stream that we got off on a tangent about Malort. Do you think eventually we get a flavored or barrel-aged Malort? Can we get a toasted barrel Malort? Disney trip, LOL. Not opposed to it. Not opposed to it. Tell you right now, there's about 3 or 4 places at Disney to drink whiskey. And then the Mexico Pavilion is the only other place that I really care to go in Epcot to drink. So hope you like tequila and mezcal because that's what we're drinking. Preferably probably in a mezcal, but whatever. Yeah, but none of them outside Chicago, right? Plenty of BA beers aged in Malort. Yeah, from what I understand, most of them are only Chicago breweries, though. Somebody did an IPA. Was it? It wasn't Daisy Cutter, was it? Yeah, it was Daisy Cutter, I think. Holy crap! Look at all the craft beer stuff coming back in the head. It's just like it's back here somewhere. I don't know where. It's like back over here. Not sure, but it's wild. I tell you, like it's so crazy. Like as much as I travel back to Dayton for work, and I obviously don't do that anymore. I haven't been to like 3/4 of the craft breweries in Dayton. I just haven't. It's Malort. What's wrong, Sarah Ann? You're not a fan of Malort? Oh, come on. Come on. It's an acquired taste. It's an acquired taste. Yeah, I don't know. I think if we do any like off to the side coverage of anything, I would most enjoy rum. But I also see where the tequila angle is big. And I do believe in terms of American market share, tequila is going to get the next big spike. It's already happening, but I think it's really going to explode. You might have some Malort tonight. You just might. The reason for that is because we're seeing extra aged tequila, which Americans are all of a sudden suckers for things that are extra aged, right? Yeah. So we had añejo, but now we have extra añejo. Okay. So leave that stuff in Florida. Well, we didn't start it anymore. So talk to Chicago. Ranch water. Totally agree. It's take your favorite budget tequila, make some ranch water, right? Blanco tequila is your jam. Yeah. Listen, a good Blanco, sipping Blancos, beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Totally agree with you on that. I'm more of a Reposado or Añejo guy, but that's just because I like a little bit of that wood presence with my agave. But Don't know, Ryan. What you said there is that's going to change. So if you have some rum products that are aged that you like, you might want to start a little bunker. Be honest with you, that's going to move, and it might be this year, it might be next year, but it's going to move very soon. There you go. Nick just said he's reading rum as the next one. Well, and the reason for it is because we also love variety, right? So the difference in Nicaraguan rum and Barbados rum is different. There's a different fruit profile. There's a different particular method of harvesting agave potentially, or the belief in how long it should be. Like, a lot of your currently popular tequilas that have grown in popularity have taken that agave plant and almost allowed it to actually almost wilt before they actually harvest it. And there's a whole difference in the process with it. And so, yeah, it's an interesting thing. But if you love a rum, in particular an aged rum, and you're seeing on the shelf now for $40 or $50, buy a few of them up, put them back, because if it does take off, those same rums at that age, which the worst part is, what I don't know about the equation is how smart are those freaking people down there? Have they just put away enough rum to like, just be like, hey, the Americans eventually are going to buy our stuff, so we have a ton of 20-year rum. And we will have enough 20-year rum because we held so much back, right? Like bourbon didn't do the last 5 to 8 years. Who knows? Who really knows? And then you also get into some of the things where there's a lot less regulation in some of these countries. So how do we know that product is actually that age? There is some question. Now, they do fall under certain international guidelines and things and whatnot. But yeah, once it gets beyond our borders, and even sometimes within our own borders, right? We don't know. We don't know. So Santa Teresa 1792 is probably one of my favorite rums. I think it's $60 some a bottle right now. Really good, just nice rum. But you also have your other crazy things. Some of your more known brands like Foursquare is going to be known as a hype brand with good reason. They're putting out good. So for those of you not familiar, if you're still watching, they don't call it cask strength in rum. They call it Navy strength. Well, Americans call it Navy strength. I think it's probably called something else internationally, but we call it Navy strength. So it's typically things that are bottled up off the cask and not diluted, but usually going to be 105 plus proof, because rum doesn't necessarily, they don't proof it up as much. They don't when they put it in. And there might be rules around that. I don't even know. There's such a void in what I know about like how they can distill and what the laws and what the guidelines are around it. But rum is going to be an interesting frontier. Tequila is going to be an interesting frontier. There already was a slight run on like Armagnac, but that was a very specialty kind of thing. It's always going to be, in my opinion. I mean, it's a great product. So, you really have to enjoy that type of spirit to begin with. We'll see. I don't know. Oh, no, it's going to be super interesting. Like, I won't make that same prediction that I shared with you guys earlier, sitting around doing a craft beer share, that I think all of us that are in a bourbon are going to be, it was like 50%, I think was the number I threw out when we were talking. I don't make that same prediction today that say 50% of us will have moved on from bourbon, because one, bourbon is the American spirit, right? And in theory, we'll always have a love affair with that. But what I will say is, I do think there's a room for wine. I do think there's a room for some of us to move on to cocktails. Will they be whiskey related cocktails? More than likely. So willing to bend away from bourbon to maybe American single malt. Outside of that, nope, just whiskey, bourbon. Not a huge fan of anything else. Well, you say like American single malts, and we didn't even touch on that for the next 10 years. Because JT, before you joined, we were talking about what do we all think about the next 10 years of whiskey? American single malt is a very real product in the Pacific Northwest. And you saw Jack Daniels released their twice barreled last year, and it's gotten decent acceptance. It was they knew it would, because they released it as an international travel product, and it was being brought back by travelers, But American single malts, so Westward and Westland out on the West Coast in Oregon or Washington, I can't recall. Washington. I have a Westward store pick, and it is affogato coffee. It is straight affogato coffee. It's enjoyable if you love that bitter coffee with some of those herbal, foresty kind of notes. It is great. It's not peat. It's so strange. Been on whiskey cocktails. I've never really considered that as an evolution beyond whiskey. So it's either a gateway or an evolution in my book. And I think more often than not, it's a gateway, Joe. You're right. But I also think it's somewhat of an evolution to recognize that, like, hey, I love this product, but on a Tuesday night, I'm probably not coming home and having, 3 pours of a whiskey. Nothing wrong with it if you do. No judgment here. But will come home and have 2 old fashions or 2 whiskey smashes or 2 whatever. Name your favorite whiskey cocktail. Manhattan ups, Manhattans, right? Whatever. Sure. Or brandy. Brandy is also an interesting one too. Like, brandy could be another potential horn in, but I don't know. You're seeing some producers in the United States actually saying we're going to make brandy instead of whiskey purposefully up front. So I'm sooner to do a neat pour than a cocktail. You're also speaking very proper English. I'm sooner to do a neat pour than a cocktail. Gin is an evolution for me. Gin is interesting. We talked about it a few weeks back on the live stream. Like, a lot of people don't realize, everyone thinks of gin as like just juniper, hit me with a lot of juniper. Oh my gosh, juniper bomb. Well, no. Gin has 4 particular expressions. You might get some that are more sweet and elegant, floral, if you will. You might get some that are more spice driven, not traditional bourbon spice. Gin is an interesting thing for me. I think we all associate that London Dry or whatever because it's what we know when we're growing up. We see the gin products that we see, and that's all they are. Yeah, well, I mean, what to drive away from those juniper bombs, and that's the point. I think we did not try their gins when we were there. And that's one thing. So we did go to Castle and Key. We didn't actually do a tour or anything. We just went over there and drove over and walked around the campus. I kind of wish I had, because they had an orange zest one. When I grew up, gin went with juice. Yeah, boy. Dark Door is an interesting one here in Tampa. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're non-whiskey products, and I hate to dog on them for that, but it's Florida. This part of Florida, we can't do whiskey properly. Someone prove me wrong. I hope they do, but we can't. Come over. We have a few. Well, hey, I'm bored tomorrow night. I just might. Don't tempt me with a good time. Yeah, I get it. Boomer Sooner, man. Come on. I'm not a Sooners fan. Don't worry. Gosh, I don't know. But that's the point, is like, what could potentially catch our fascination, right? I don't know that it does. The bourbon industry, New Riff Gin is not bad. Well, if that's, I don't want them in the gin business. They need to stay in the whiskey business now. Get out of the gin and vodka business, New Riff. You don't need the revenue from it, New Riff. You really don't anymore. Or maybe you do. If you do, that's a bad problem, actually. Kentucky does such a good job with bourbon. And bourbon can be made anywhere in the United States. Like, let's get that off the table. If you didn't know that, that's fine. It can. We can make bourbon in Florida. We can, technically. But Kentucky does such a good job getting it out there and getting attention, has the eyeballs. What I know about the folks in Kentucky is there's a lot of pride with that. And they're not wanting to follow that limelight. So it's going to take a concerted effort for another spirit to horn in and be like, yeah, hey, we're getting huge market share here. But tequila was the one last year. 2022, it bit into the most, for sure. Curious stuff, man. Curious stuff. I don't know, guys. But what else you got? I'm going to call last call on topics. As soon as I finish this, heading out, but chat about some more things. I'm full of it because my eyes are brown. You guys know that. No, I'm serious. I love the banter, guys. It's good stuff. Like, it's so hard, like, to think about these things. Like, I don't blame him at all. But when Whiskey Straight Up Derek brought up, like, what craft are you excited about this year? I'm excited about the one I don't know about yet. That's a hard thing. It's such a cop-out answer, but, like, I know what I'm excited about now. I love Hard Truth. I love people like that, but they're known now, that type of stuff. So what else you guys got on your mind tonight? Whiskey related. I'm not here to be your psychologist. I'm not a bartender. Okay. Done with those days, more than likely. So. Oh, hey, yeah, you're right. I'll stay on for a few more minutes for that. That was fun. We had, for those of you who don't know, some of you might have been on here. We had our first international live viewer. He was from England, from London, Joe was here that night, I think. Nick was here that night. He got on, his first comment he made was, "This is the most American thing I've ever seen." And it was great. It was fantastic. And he stayed around and joked with us and everything. And I told him how my boss at the day job is British. Well, she's an American citizen now, but she's British. That's the most I'll say about my job. It is what it is. I like my job. It's not that. It's just certain things. So whatever. But yeah, I'd love to see the UK guy in. What was that? It was UK chef for UK something or other. I'll go back and look now. I'm curious. What bottles are you guys excited about? I got to ask. 3:30 his time. That's when he got on last time. You're right. You're absolutely right. What bottles are you guys excited about this year? I mean, a couple of you guys chimed in. Was there anything else you guys missed that maybe we didn't talk about? I mean, like I said, I'm always excited for like the BTAC lines and things like that. And Penelope Rio was one you guys brought up, which I think is a good call out. I mean, Penelope is doing some fun stuff and they're catching people's eye, which I think is great. Their label and branding to me, I hated it first. Oh, I haven't watched, JT. I haven't watched. Okay. Tell me who won. Who won that one? I was going to go back and watch after this, but it's fine. Holiday Makers. Yeah, Makers is always fun. I guess, Derek, if you're still on here, Whiskey Straight Up, what's the status on our Makers pick? We did a Makers pick for Manti Whiskey Society. It's not mine. It's not channel. I want to hear your experience on that one. So, admittedly, if Matt were still in here, he would vouch for this. The Remus Gatsby Reserve we tried the night before Thanksgiving down in Sarasota. It was at the end of our drinking experience that night, so palate was pretty fried. Take that for what it's worth. I was not a fan of it. I don't want to taint your experience. I hope it's much better. It was, in fact, the neck pour as well. First pours off the bottle, neck pour, whatever you want to call it. But the bottle was just open and poured. So I did not have the benefit of trying it with some airtime on it. Who knows? Maybe that's the difference. That said, I think it was offensive for that price point. No, it just wasn't. I mean, we had Heaven Hill 17 that night and Russell's Reserve 13. So no one in the Russell's night. What was that? We had Heaven Hill 17 that night too. So yeah, Remus is so weird to me. Like, so the weirdest part about Remus for me is Remus does their picks differently. So if you see the basic Remus label, it's the little squatty bottle with kind of the orange cream colored label on it. It's decent whiskey. It's not great. It wouldn't win in this middle tier thing we're doing right now. But their single barrel program is pretty robust and pretty awesome. They do it very differently, and they do it for a reason, I think. They allow all their picks to happen around this time of the year through April or so. And then they deliver all of them. I'll come back and catch up in comments in a minute. They deliver all of them in like December or November, which I think is to avoid taxation for the next year on them, which is brilliant on their part. And those picks are very fun, the basic Remus. But the Remus Repeal 5 was great. I did not like 6 so much. And the Gatsby, I'd love to try to get on a fresh palate after it's had some airtime because I did not like it. Again, when I say I don't like something, I think people automatically think so negative, like I think it was crap. If it was crap, I'll tell you it's crap. I just didn't like it. So, honestly, never heard the guy that won the round. I watched earlier, so I can't remember his name. So obviously, it wasn't Whiskey Row David that won the first round. Had my Remus cast drink tonight. Didn't love it. Yeah, we got that. Room for the Whiskey Wimps that round. I think it's on now. Ross and Squibb. Ross and Squibb. What a name. It's like a legal firm, right? Call the law offices of Ross and Squibb. If you've been injured. I don't know. That's just me. That's also 5 whiskeys deep, so I got a little bit left. I got 1 drink left. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for hanging out on your Friday night. This has changed my Friday nights doing this for the last 6, 8, 10 months in a great way. I put out a poll on a YouTube about a month ago. Didn't get a lot of responses. Friday night is inherently tough for many people. It's not. I don't mean many people like small people. I mean many, M-A-N-Y. I don't know that I mind that. I think I like the crew that we have and the crew that we're growing on Friday nights. That said, I have to think about entertaining the idea of like, would it be greater on another night? And the only night I can come up with is Thursday night. I got a little bit of a lift for some reason. And I don't think I'm going to do it. I think if I can't make a Friday night, because there was a stretch where I missed like 3 of 5, 3 of 4, plus another one after that, I'll just try to leave you guys some sort of long form content, podcast style. You can listen to it, you can comment, you can whatever. If you do, you don't. And stay on Fridays. Like 3 weeks from now, we're going to be in Ohio, and I'm not sure we're going to do a show because I have a limited amount of time to see my friends and family and things like that. And spending a Friday night, because inherently going on live, and it's not a complaint, you guys, going live at 8:30 ties you up from 8 to 11. It just does. You're not doing anything else Friday night. You're really not. But when we're traveling, which we will be more now, unfortunately, of course, as you guys know, Friday night hangs. It's tough during football season, I'll tell you that. Haiku Fridays when you can't make it. Yes, Haiku Fridays are great. But I think I've backed off that idea. I think what I'm going to try and do is leave you guys with like some sort of medium long form content, even if it's just, me sitting here right now, just like going off, having 2 or 3 whiskeys and going off about 3 or 4 topics and be like, react. It's kind of what we do anyway. So, but I'm down to my last, guys. It's been amazing. It is now almost 10:45. I'm going to go see who wins the last round of Matt Madness here. I can't thank you enough, you guys. Cheers. We'll see you next Friday. Be safe, have fun, and have a pour, make some memories. I like Fridays too.